Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am the Queen of York and today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you. This house is inspired by the Scandinavian contemporary style house. In my local area, I live in the UK and I live in a town that is considered a new town. It's like 50 or 60 years old. So we've got a lot of houses that are being built right now which are Scandinavian style, and I watched Grand Designs and they also use the Scandinavian style barn build, and I just thought it looked so nice and contemporary, and I've never built a house in this style before, so I thought it would be quite fun and a little challenge for me to make something in The Sims 4. So this is, like I said, Scandinavian contemporary style, and a lot of Scandinavian styles have this really dark exterior with white inserts and light wood paneling, just to accentuate and contrast the dark and the light, which I thought made it look really pretty and modern, so I wanted to give that a go. So it might not be the most colourful house, so if you like colourful houses, it's just not it at all. But I really like the way it turned out, and it just looks really nice and sleek and modern without having loads of jagged and straight lines. So originally this was the size of the barn, but I realized it was just way too large. Like the peak of the roof was just too high, that it just looked too imposing and I just didn't like it. So I do slim it down quite a lot in the end. But at the moment, I'm still trying to work out the perfect colours for the exterior section. So working out the black was quite difficult because I wanted a black that wasn't just a flat black that was a bit too boring. So in the end, I went for this like wavy textured style black, which I think came with the fitness pack. I'm not sure. And then for the roof, I used this wood style roofing, which came with Get Famous, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it just really complemented the walls and the black walls. Here I am just trying to work out how to make the peak less harsh, because I just felt like it was just too intimidating and too big, because it's just massive. And I think this is the point where I realized that it's really big once you look inside and you see the amount of space you have to furnish. So I just chopped that down quite a lot, and this is what I love about The Sims 4, is that you can just grab a room and move it and resize it, and you don't have to rebuild everything, because in The Sims 3 that used to be such a chore when you just don't get the sizing quite right and you have to keep changing everything and move everything over one little square. It was quite tedious. So this is something that I love about The Sims 4. It just makes building that much easier. And does anyone else do this when they build houses or furnish or anything? I like to pull everything out, all my options out, and just like stick them down and just play around with what I have going on before I kind of commit to a style. At this point I knew I wanted a black window frame just because of the black and white contrasting style for the exterior. I wanted to kind of match that with the windows, but trying to choose the right windows was quite difficult. And here I am still trying to work out this peak because it just really was annoying me. And I assume I'm trying to make sure that the peaks are the same, so that they're not one is not steeper than the other, so they're kind of little matching barns, one mini barn and one ginormous barn. And at this point I still think it's too big, so we chop it down again. On the back I wanted to create this wood paneling effect because there's going to be a balcony off the master bedroom, and I wanted to have like a panel, so it's like a privacy screen which you could still see out, but people can't, when they're walking past, wouldn't be able to see in and see too much of what is going on, because the bedroom is facing out the back there and it will have big windows. So I wanted to create this privacy screen using wood panels and just playing around with the ones that came with Get Famous, I believe, the wall coverings. But in the end, I just didn't like that you couldn't match up the panels and the lines with the roof, and it just looked like there was space missing. Otherwise they would have been perfect for this house. It just wasn't working when I lifted them using the 0-9 key. And yeah, so I just kind of looked around for a different alternative, and I really like the way it turned out in the end. And apparently I think I've gone too small now, so we're extending it again. But yeah, as I say, the wood panels, they weren't working, so I found an alternative, and I end up using posts that are not posts. They're in the decoration, in the wall decor part of buy mode. They're not in build mode, and I use these to give the illusion of panels, and I just make them sit closer together. You'll see in a minute. So this is me trying to make these ones work, and this is a point when I realize that I don't like the way that it staggers as it goes down, and I'm trying to get it as close as I can, but you just always still see this little space where something is just not quite right and it's missing just a little bit, or it pokes out the top of the ceiling, or the top of the roof even, which just does not look good. So this is me trying out the seasons posts and just putting them a little bit closer together than what they allow. So this is using move objects. I use move objects on every single build, so if you do download any of my houses, make sure you do have move objects on, just to make sure that nothing kind of gets deleted or moved, because a lot of the time when I download my own houses, I'll go in it and they'll look a little bit sparse, and I realize it's because they've deleted half my decorations, which I've spent ages lifting up with the 0 and the 9 key, so that's quite annoying. But this is just me trying to align all these posts, which can be quite difficult, but I get there in the end and I really like the way it turned out. And yeah, I just think it's a great alternative, especially for this contemporary style, just to make it look a little bit more interesting and not so open, and give this illusion of being closed off. But I think this is pretty much it for the exterior of the house. I think we're going to move inside soon. I'm not sure. I know for when I put the trims, the wall trims down, I like to do a faux fence with the really thin fencing, just to separate the area so I can do different coloured wall trims and just have it where I want it. So you can see on the side that's got the black with the gap, where the wall is missing, that has got black wall trim, and then the white underneath the little posts that we put in, that is white, and this section here will have a piece in here. So this is what I mean. So I've built a little fence, and that just allows it to be separate, so when you do apply the wall trims, it doesn't go around the whole house, and you can kind of control where it goes, and then you just delete it afterwards and it just stays there, and everything just looks great. So working out the floor plan took me a little bit of time. It didn't take me too long, but it did take me a little bit of time to work out where I wanted the stairs and how to lay out the top floor. Putting out the stairs in is always the most tricky part of any build, I feel, because kind of you want the stairs at the front of the house, but you got to make it fit so that you still have a good layout and floor plan on the floor above and below. So it does take me a while in every build I do to work out where I want things to go, and I stop so many times apparently in building. I like to watch TV shows or movies while I build, so I'm probably changing the series, episode or movie during the little breaks or the stops. So that is what I'm doing. If you did wonder, I'm just trying to entertain myself while I do this, because these take so long. I actually filmed this over 2 or 3 days, not 4 days. I kind of do a bit until I kind of lose, I'd say, motivation or inspiration, and then I stop and then I go away and try something else. So this is the start of a new day, so I actually cut out all the layout jumbling and backwards and forward because it was boring to watch and you don't need to see it. Also, I cut out the designing of the kitchen because in the end I don't use this design. I really loved the way it turned out and I'm definitely going to use it in another house, but for this I just felt like, especially when I decorate the rest of the house, it just wasn't contemporary enough. It was just a bit too glamorous and not in keeping with this really more simplistic Scandinavian style with like wood tones and some little bit more minimalistic without being a minimalist house. So in the end I do replace the kitchen, that's why I cut that out. But like I said, I will be using this design in another house because I just really love how it turned out with that marble wallpaper or backsplash. For the lounge, which I'm just working on now, I wanted it to be quite simple and I didn't want it to be too fussy, which is what I struggled with because the kitchen was so busy and so elegant and glam. So trying to marry that up did take me a little bit of time, and in the end I really like how I decorated it and what it looked like when it was finished. In the end I go for these tufted, what's it called? I can't remember what this style of sofa is called, but with this tufted leather style sofa, and then like a matching larger one just in a different colorway, just so it doesn't look like it's too matchy. And then another thing I struggle with designing or furnishing a room is the rug. I mean, we do have a lot of choices, so I'm not complaining at all. It's just sometimes finding the rug that matches what I've got in my head can take some time. So I wanted a rug that was simple, not too bright or in your face, and didn't, steal the show too much. So I really like this rug. I do change all the colors in a little bit, and I love that I didn't actually have to change anything. So you'll see in a minute this colorway is quite nice, but then when I change it up it literally takes 2 seconds and I just use the recolor option, and in the end it all worked out quite well. I didn't have to replace anything in the space. So I really like that you can make so many different so many different colorways with just the same products, and you can just make the room look completely different. So that is something I love about The Sims 4 as well. There are so many great things about The Sims 4. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's loads of things that I want to change, but staying positive, I really like the overall functionality of the way that it's designed, and especially with build and buy, because it just makes it a lot easier. I know some people want you to have more colorways, or maybe like a color wheel just to change the color and have a bit more customization like that, and I kind of understand why they don't, because in The Sims 3, as amazing as it was to really make everything your own style, furnishing a house took so long, like a crazy amount of time. I mean, I went all out with my Sims 3's houses, and it would take probably 3 full days to furnish a house fully. So this kind of limits your options in a way, but it also forces you to be a bit more creative, because even though you're limited with your color schemes, you are kind of forced to be a lot more creative with what you want to do to get the look that you want. which is kind of fun, just to challenge yourself to make all the rooms different, even with the same furniture, because a lot of the times I do jump to the same pieces of furniture, but it always looks different because of the design of the room itself. So I really like that even though we are limited in colorways or options, you kind of are forced to try and make something different with the same objects, which is really cool. So this dining room, I used these seats or chairs from, I think it's from the Fitness Stuff Pack, and I hardly ever use these. These are just way too modern for most of my houses, so I thought it looked quite nice and simple, and kept with this minimalist vibe that I was going with, which I discovered I was going with, should I say, after I did the lounge area. So I really like these chairs, and I never use them, so that's fun to use an object that you never use. And for the entryway, I wanted it to be really simple. I use this entryway table all the time, but it is my favorite. It's just so simple and minimalist and a bit modern, and then just put some shoes underneath it, just to give it that feel of realism, because when you come in the house, especially when you have kids, and this is a family home, so they would have kids, so they can take off their shoes and put them away and keep the entryway quite tidy and not get the floors muddy, because it is a light wood floor, so dirt will show up so easily. So for the first floor, this is where the master bedroom and bathroom is going to be, and this is pretty much it, and then there's study as well, but all the other bedrooms will be downstairs. Watching this back, when I furnish the other two bedrooms, the rooms are so small. It is so true to like the British builds, because honestly here in a new build you are forced to get the rooms are so small. Like you'll have like some rooms that are massive, and then like the rest will be like teeny tiny, and it's just crazy, and you have to like squish everything in. And when I was watching back the furnishing of those rooms, I was like, oh my god, it's like a British house, where you have like a really lovely spacious master bedroom, but then the kids' bedrooms or the other bedrooms are quite small and squished. So that was quite funny, but you could reduce this down to a 2-bedroom house, so it would be quite a large 2-bedroom, but then that second barn would be a bedroom and family bathroom or guest bathroom, instead of being 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, because it is quite cramped. But it's up to you. If you download it, you choose how you want to style it and how you use the house. But I have used this in my own gameplay, and I've had a couple with a young baby or toddler, and then the 3rd bedroom I turned into the YouTube room, because they were a YouTuber, like videographer, vlogger, whatever. So that was their kind of studio, but I quickly outgrew it just because it was just too small when they had another child. So just keep that in mind. It's great if you've got a bit of money and your Sims want to live in a larger house and there's just the 2 of them, and they're planning on having kids but they're not quite there yet, or they've got 1 child, then it's perfect for that. For this master bedroom, I like to try doing different things. I always go for the same bed, because that bed is just so easy to design around, because it hasn't got a headboard or any like wood textures or anything like that. So I went with a bedspread colour, this yellow colour that I've never used before, or not my go-to. I normally go to the purple or the white, and you'll see in a lot of my other builds it is my favourite bed, because it's just so easy, like I said, so easy to design because there's no headboard. But I really try to challenge myself and think outside the box with the wall colouring. So I went with this like forest green colour, which I think complements it really well. So I really like how the bedroom turned out in the end. It just, takes a little bit of imagination and a bit of playing around. And in the bathroom, I wanted it to be quite luxurious, and I really like these basins or vanity units that came with Get Famous, and I just used a shelf and sized it up just to fit underneath the basin to make it look like it was a continuous vanity counter. The only problem is when you do play with it, you do have to delete the shelf because it doesn't work with the shelf there, because it just stops them being able to wash their hands, which I did notice when I was playing it, and they kept going downstairs to the kitchen every time they went to the toilet, and I was like, what are you doing? So I realized that's what it was. So in this master bedroom, just off to the side is 2 closets, so they got loads of space for wardrobes and everything else, and then 2 little seats, just as a little seating area or a place to like throw their clothes or whatever when they're getting changed or trying to look for things to wear. And then for side tables, I've just used some shelving just to keep it really simple and minimalist and keep with the Scandinavian style, which is kind of how the rest of the house was turning out to be. And this is kind of at the point when I thought I need to change the kitchen because it's just not working for the rest of the house and the way the rest of the house is designed and furnished. It just was a little bit too fussy for the rest of it. So at this point I was like, okay, I'm going to change it. And this is me just doing the trick again of using the little fencing to do the wall trim, just to make the under piece, the piece that was sticking out, white. And for the walls, I thought I was going to use these wood paneling wall decorations, but I decided not to in the end, just because when you have the walls down, it does kind of like mess with it a little bit, and it makes the house crazy expensive. So I do remove them and keep it a bit more simple. And then for the outside balcony, which is just off the master bedroom, it's just got these 2 outdoor sofas, which came with the spa day pack, which I love. These are like so common in gardens in my area. Everyone has these like outdoor garden furniture, like the rattan, plasticky rattan furniture. So I just thought I'll include that because everyone has it. Just off the landing and just outside the master bedroom, I did put in a study, and I really like the way this is designed. It's so similar to what you would see in an actual person's house, like in a real house. So it's all very white because I like white walls and everything in real life. My study and pretty much every single room in my house has all white walls. I think there's only at the moment 1 room that's got a bit of colour, and that's like half wall of a colour and the rest are white. So it's not even like full colour. So this is similar to that. So I stuck with my favourite white colour, and then like all the furniture was white as well, just to keep it nice and clean and look like everything kind of goes together, and it's been designed, you know, by one person, which it would be if you lived in this house, you would be designing it. So I really like the way it turned out. It just looks so clean and modern and sleek, and I really like the wall with the shelves and the pictures sitting on top of it. Instead of being hung on the wall, they like sit and rest on the shelf. It's like looking in an IKEA catalogue, which is Scandinavian, so yeah, kind of fits quite well with the theme, really. And I think this is the first time I saw this little hand sculpture, and I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. How have I not seen you before? And I love it now. If I use it all the time, I'm sorry if that makes you mad, but now that I've discovered it, I love it. And it's just so like Tumblr, isn't it? It's like what you would expect in like a YouTuber's house or like Instagram worthy house. You'd have that on like a shelf. So I was like, oh my god, this is like the goal of this house, was to try to make it look like a house that you'd have like on an Instagram worthy house. So I was like, I have to include the little hand sculpture. And then choosing paintings, I always go for like I have 3 go-to pictures. The one that's got like the red and the black canvas and it's quite large and it's square. That's like my number 1, and I normally cycle through the pictures and try in quotes use something different, but I generally go for the black and white one with the man in the middle and like a cross. And then the other ones I go for are the Marilyn Monroe style poster, the really big one, which came with the I call it Master Suite stuff, and I realise it's not called that, and I can't remember what it's called now. Oh, I can't remember. Vintage stuff pack. The vintage stuff pack. It came with that, and it's got like the 3 like different heads, and it's black and white. One's like a Marilyn Monroe style, the other is like an Aubrey Hepburn, and the other one I don't know who it's meant to be, but I love that as well, and I normally go to those ones. Or the other one is it's another one that's square, and it's got if you flick through it, it's got the abstract paintings with a woman, like I think there's like 3 different styles, and it's really colourful and it looks like abstract painting. So those are my go-tos, and I try and be a bit more adventurous and not do the same thing, but I struggle. And I mean, you know what you like, so you're just gonna keep doing things and trying to stick with the things you like, aren't you, really? For the outdoors area, I wanted to keep it quite minimalist. Everything is in wood tones or white. I did play around with adding a little bit of colour with the sofas, and I just didn't like it. I just felt like it didn't match the feel of the house at all, because everything is quite muted in the house. I know there are like some areas with a bit more colour, so you've got like the purple in the sofas, and in the bedroom, the master bedroom's got a bit more colour because it's got that the deep green walls and the yellow in the bed or the bedding. But for the outside, I just wanted it quite simple, and the rest of the house is very, very simple and minimalist. So I just kept everything like the wood tones and the whites outside. And this is the point where I change the kitchen up. I don't completely redo the kitchen. I kind of just put what I've already done in the layout that I previously had, because I really liked the way that it was laid out and it's fitted quite well, and I liked the way it was furnished and decorated. So I kind of kept to that style, that layout, sorry, and I just changed the colouring and changed the counters so that the colours kind of went with the space a bit better, but it was still well decorated and it wasn't rushed and looked good in the end. So I'm quite happy with the kitchen, but like I said, I loved the kitchen that was there before, just wasn't right for this house. So I will be using it in another build, don't worry. I'm just trying to think what it's going to be. It might be in like a glam modern house, I'm not sure. But this is what I mean by the spare bedrooms. So these are so small that you can literally fit a double bed, and it has to be like right against the wall, a desk, a side table, and a dresser. A single squared dresser as well. You can't even have like a double dresser because the space is so small. So it's like a tiny little box room, which reminds me so much of like my bedrooms growing up, because I always had like a box room, because to be honest, I actually had the second biggest bedroom, but it was tiny. Like I had my double bed, and then at the end of the bed I had like a shelf, because there wasn't even space to have like anything else. So I just had like the shelf, which I had my computer on, and then I had my wardrobe next to that, and I literally had like a half a meter walkway from the door down to the dresser before you hit the bed and the wall. So it was small. I mean, it was tiny. So I mean, the Sims have a bit more space to move around than I did. So I mean, you gotta make do with what you got. And I wanted a double bed, so I had to sacrifice the space. I mean, the room was quite reasonable, I'd say, for a single bed. But I was a teenager and I was determined to have a double bed because I wanted one, and I felt like it was so grown up to have a double bed. So I gave up on the walking space and everything so I could have my double bed. And I feel like that's what that sim has done as well. They're a teenager, they want to feel like they're in like an adult room, so they've got a double bed, even though the space doesn't really allow for it. And then in this other bedroom, in the final bedroom, I've just put in a single bed, so it's a kid's room. It's skewed more towards boy, but you can turn it into a girl's, or it could be like a girl's room that likes police cars and stuff. I mean, it's gender neutral, you know? We don't have to be stereotypical with gender. What's it called? I don't know. We don't have to be stereotypical with gender anyway. So it can be for a girl or a boy, but it is very simple. It's just got a bedside table, a little drawing desk, because I always put those in the kids' rooms, even though they barely draw when I play. But I realised that the rest of the room is very sparsely decorated. I probably got really bored at this point. I get like that when I know that when I'm really close to finishing and I just want to get it done because I've been doing it for so long, that I kind of rush the last little bits. So normally it's the outdoor space, but I did the outdoor furnishing earlier on than usual. So in this case it was the kids' bedroom. So if you do download this house and you want to put a bit more love and attention into the room, please help yourself. Add some beautiful decoration and make it have a bit more life, and maybe some paintings on the wall, because it literally has nothing apart from that one wall that's got the wall shelves with some pictures and toys on it. So yeah, poor game on my side. For the landscaping, I like to keep it quite simple. I don't like to have loads of trees just because they get in the way when I play. So I always go with these birch trees, and to be honest, they're the trees that kind of go with the rest of the area, so it kind of fits in. And then for the plants, I've used like the lavender plants with these white, I want to call them bluebell, but I know they're not bluebells, but they're like really long shaped and they're white. And it goes with this minimalist style with a little bit of a wild garden going on. They don't really have an overly manicured garden or anything like that. It's kind of just wild, whatever kind of grows in their garden, and they're just happy with that, and it just looks, it's well kept but natural. That is basically the landscaping for this house. So this is just a screenshot, an overview of the house with it complete. It is on the gallery, you can find it. My ID is QueenOfYork, and this house is under Scandivanian. So if you don't want to download it, just go onto the gallery and it's there for you. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and leave me a comment down below of your favorite style of house, and if you have any suggestions of what you want me to build next, let me know. And I will see you guys very soon in my next build, because I have got so many builds and I am doing a Stranger Build Let's Play, so make sure you check those out. Everything you need to know about me and links will be down below in the description, so check them out. And like I said, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you stay updated every time I post a new video. And I'll see you guys very soon. Dag dag!